We walk around like we're just waiting for somebody to give us permission, to tell us that we're good enough to do what we've been doing our whole life. And that's just simply being you. You're not unqualified. You're not even really unclear. Yes, I know you're scared. And you're afraid that if you show up without some kind of really polished, perfect audition tape, that you might not get picked up, that you might not get the job. But here's the newsflash. You've already got it. You're not auditioning for the part. You're not in the running with a whole bunch of other people. It's already yours. It's always been yours. Today is the day that we stop auditioning for the job that we already have. Hi, my name's Steve Kidd. I am a third generation minister, international best-selling author of 39 books and counting. I've had the amazingly wonderful privilege of working with over 5,000 authors, helping them write, publish, market their books to bestseller, and everything that comes beyond that. But what I really do, what I'm really here for you today, is to help you find that powerful clarity that allows you to make the impact that you are in the world. I am your visibility, your clarity, your transformational architect for your life to help you be the you that ultimately, as I said in our opening, only you can be. The you that you've been your whole life, that you've felt like somehow wasn't good enough, wasn't enough, was something that if you could only just somehow change it some way, that then you would be good enough, you would be qualified, you would get the part, you could somehow be impressive in a way that makes you feel fulfilled, versus making you feel like somehow you're not good enough, like somehow you aren't enough. I mean, do you understand what I'm saying? Do you get the point of what I'm getting at right now? I hope you really do, because you need that transformation. You need me to help you come in and architect, to draw the drawings, the blueprints for you, for the building that's already built. Sometimes we got to backdate the permits. You know, we go in, we do the work, we've done all the changes, we put in all the work, and the only thing that we don't have is some kind of building permit from the state that said, or this county or whatever, that said that you're good enough, that the work was allowable, that the you that you are. So I'm inviting you in today. Today's Saturday. We're in our fuzzy slippers, wiggling our toes in the grass. I mean, I don't know what it's like there. It's like 75 and a little bit overcast, light breeze. It's kind of beautiful here. I mean, if I didn't love my giant computer setup, I'd probably be outside talking to you right now. I wish I had someplace to go. I would love to just get in the car and just drive for the rest of the day. I've got things I've got to do today, but I mean, it's that kind of a day, and it's beckoning and it's calling to me. And I want you to take that whole spirit of that on while we talk about something that is both very serious and yet inconsequential all at the same time. Because the truth of the matter is you already are more than enough. Because you were born you, and you've lived every moment of your life as you. But what we all fall into the trap of, and I've done it for years, so this is not judgment. This is just me helping you come along. The trap is so easy because we practice, drill, rehearse, we polish, we perfect. We are just waiting until. It's like we expect there's some kind of magical voice in the sky. For those of you that are Christians, think of Moses, or Jewish, really, in this particular case, Moses in the burning bush. And you're waiting for that burning bush moment for God to show up and to scream from the heavens, "This is your fate, your life, and your calling." And then, even though you have all the excuses that you make, you go out and then you can go and live your destiny. If you need that voice in the sky, burning bush, um, appeal from the heavens moment, this is it. This is that still small voice, that booming, loud, thunderous voice. Whatever's going to get your attention, this is that voice telling you the job is yours. You're already hired. You're more than enough. You are there. You see, and I come from a performance background. I was a lead singer in a Christian rock band in the 80s. And I've spent a lot of time as the worship leader or one of the main music directors at churches. And let's be real. For those of you who don't know behind the curtains, and I don't want to ruin church for you, but for those of you who don't know behind the curtains, the whole entire assembly of Sunday morning is a performance. The pastor spends all week polishing and perfecting what he's going to say. There's a great section in the movie Footloose, the original one, where I wish I could think of his name. The guy from Monty Python. The guy that's the father, that's the pastor, is up there and he's practicing his talk. And how is he going to say this thing? And where is he going to move his arms? And all that kind of thing. And although not all pastors do that, many of them practice in a mirror. Some of us have been blessed to have a very gentle conversational tone, and we can plan what we want to talk and do it. But I'm going to tell you, these lives, I'm moving into a new season starting today where I'm going to plan out tomorrow, today, and be a day ahead. But really, honestly, I've been planning these on the spot. Sometimes, in fact, when I'm a couple of minutes late, it's because I'm a couple of minutes late deciding exactly what is the exact way and the thing that I want to do and say with it. Because some of that is really just, no, let me say that a different way. Because all of those years performing, both on stage as well as in church, I don't want to live that life. Don't get me wrong, I love Jesus. I'm all in for that. But a lot of the performance that is Sunday morning, quote unquote, worship, I'm just done with. And I'm just being real and brutally honest with you here. I was blessed. My father is an amazing teacher, and he had a gifting at being able to go into the word and really take it word by word, verse by verse, and really open it up. In fact, he owned the website and always wanted to have like a larger ministry than just the little churches he was working in. And he named it Opening the Word Ministries. And that really always was his gifting. And it spoiled me. And honestly, I've been to a lot of really great churches, and I will put T.D. Jakes and everybody, Joel Osteen, John Osteen, his father, and on and on and on. I will put my dad on par or above all of them as far as his capability to really truly open the word and teach it in a way. And so I love that aspect of it, but I also really found myself not in a rebellious way, but really in an obedience kind of a way, listening to the voice inside of me. See, I want you to see, and I'm using my own self as an example so you can hopefully see it in yourself. See, my gifting is evangelism. For those of you that understand the giftings, I don't need to really go into all of it, but you have folks like my father who are really great teachers who need to be in front of the people of God and teaching them, opening the word up for them. Okay. You have other people who, and again, I'm not going to go deep into this, but you have other people who their gifting is more pastor, which is really more of a shepherd, the person that really makes you feel seen and loved. And I worked with a pastor who, I'm going to be brutal here for a second. He was a horrendous speaker. His sermons were horrible. All right. And I don't mean that in any way to demean him whatsoever. It just wasn't his gifting, because what he was talented at was making every single person that came, whether, and I worked with him at 2 different churches. One of them was probably a couple hundred people total on Sunday morning, and the other one was a brand new startup. And when we started, there was probably, oh gosh, including those of us that were on the worship team, there was probably a total of 15 people in the audience. And, when you add in, I was a single parent at the time of 5. So, you added my 5 kids and the children and stuff like that. I mean, really, you're probably talking 2 or 3 people that weren't the worship team, that were part of the church, and that's where we started. And it was such a blessing to work with him because of that real feeling of, this guy really sees me and he really cares. And that's that kind of gifting. And you have other people who can really hear God's voice and tell you, this is what God's saying. And you have people that are really good at going out and doing missions and things like that. My gifting is evangelism. My gifting is to be outside of the church. You've heard me quote my picture on the wall, my thing on the wall, the "I stand by the door." And that really is me. Yeah, the party of already being a member of the kingdom is on the inside. But, I intentionally, by the nature of me, stand outside the door. I want others to come in. And I needed to understand that gifting is often misunderstood when talking to people that are already inside the room. To explain to somebody who's in really feeling the fullness of a party and tell them, hey, there's people outside of this party that aren't here yet. Think about it. Okay, just think about it. I mean, you've been to a party before. If somebody said, who would like to leave this party and go out and go knocking on doors, or, go out and stand in the street or whatever and invite other people to come in. And instead of attending the party, you're just inviting people to come into party. And most people don't have that kind of a gifting. And that sounds just stupid to them. And so in learning myself, and even in this journey that we've been on these last couple of months, as I've been going live to you every day, there's that element of that too, where I have to understand in church as a sales manager and a salesperson, working with folks with their books and, my giving you my backstory of all that I've done and all those things as a marketing company for now almost 40 years. It's like 39 this year or something like that. I mean, with all of those kind of things, what I had to understand is my real gifting, my real talent is this capability to see the next, the up level, to give you a clarity that is nearly magical. And I don't say that lightly. And I'm not really intending to be giving, glory to myself. All right. I mean it from the true definition of humility, meaning having a right perspective of yourself. I've seen my gifting at my ability to be able to hear a thing and be like, oh yeah, and then we could. To look at an ad campaign and be like, the ad campaign would be this, and have it be that next step up. That's why way back in internet space, when I was very first experiencing the internet, actually the word the internet didn't exist back then, it was bulletin boards, I was already coming up with the concept of streaming video. I mean, we all do it now, If you wanted to watch a video right now, you'd go to your television, you'd go to one of several streaming services, or to your cable provider, and you'd find the movie you want to watch, and you'd watch it. And that's actually technically a streaming video service, even though it's your cable company and you don't even think about it unless you have a satellite provider, and sometimes the satellite download can need to buffer. For those of us that are on satellite, we totally understand that, and the rest of you are like, "What's buffering?" It's just. But back in the day when it would have been a 2-week download to be able to watch a movie, I was already thinking those kind of things. You see, that's me taking that whole cycle of everything that I've been in my whole life and going, oh yeah, what I do need to be is here showing up for you today to give you permission to be the you that you've always been, to tell you, congratulations, you got the job. Here's who you are. Now, I needed some very, very, very good friends in my life that helped point it out to me, and some very poorly done prompts that we've talked about that I've done with ChatGPT, and an ongoing discovery process of really honing it in and really being who I really am. Because don't get me wrong, your book is powerful and important, and it's a mandatory foundational element to your marketing, but it's a day one launch strategy. It's like building a really good, solid foundation under a house. You're not going to live on the foundation. It's either bricks on the outside, or if it's if you live on what do you call it, slab foundation house, it's, poured cement. That's all it is. If you just put an easy chair on your slab, you're not going to be bragging to the neighbors about this gorgeously beautiful house you have. I was living in teaching people how to live on a slab. That's what being in book space was. When what I really want to inspire you to see is the grand castle that you already are. And then know how to be able to bring it out to the world. Our 3 C's: connection, consistency, clarity. If I can bring you the clarity, which is what I do, which is why you need to drop the word clarity into the comments right now, or send me a DM the word clarity, because you need help with that part of it. You've got the heart. You are you. You already are the absolute world changer that I already see you as. You just don't see it. You're not visible because you don't know how to be visible. And because you're not being visible, you don't feel valuable. And I'm not preaching at you. I'm actually saying all of the same things that I say to me on an ongoing basis. Because that performance that I was talking about, that I went on about with church, that's not it. That the choir needs to practice, and the worship team needs to practice, and you need to have not only your notes, but you need to read through it. I went to college for a year, okay, for those of you that don't know it, and I took a class because I wasn't really looking to get a degree. I was technically a music performance and a communications major. But I basically was just taking classes that were the things that I wanted to know more about in the world. And I took a class called homiletics. Homiletics is how to create and deliver a sermon. That's the basic version, basic definition of that. And this particular professor, who I admire greatly, was an amazing guy. Literally, I saw him in church one time, and he opened his Bible, and his Bible was in Greek. He was reading the same Bible verses in church in the original Greek. He knew Greek that well. And his whole process was to, start with a concept and then build an outline, and then build that outline out until it was pretty much everything word for word, and then break that essentially word for word talk back down into, very minute bullet points. And that was the method that he taught us there. And it's a really cool and inspiring kind of thing. But again, it goes back to that performance. Whereas when I feel led to come on here today, and I knew when I sat down here to plan this out for you today, that what we needed to talk about was this whole concept of you need to stop auditioning for the job that you've already got. You're hired. You're you. You were born into this world as the person you are. And every single thing, and I know some of them have been awful, but every single thing you've been through, God has found a way to turn it into making you an even more powerful you, to make you better, not worse. There's a verse in the Bible, and I know I'm being all kind of sermony to you today, and I don't really want you to feel like you're going to church. But there's a verse in the Bible that says, and Joseph actually says it to his brothers, when his brothers come and discover that, the brother that they sold into slavery is actually now second in command over all of, essentially all of the world, because Egypt was pretty well the world power, especially then, because the whole world was coming to Egypt for food. And Joseph looked at his brothers and said, what you intended for evil, God used for good. When Potiphar's wife, lies and said that Joseph tried to rape her, and he gets thrown in jail for years, God used that as an opportunity to connect him with the person who would later refer him to Pharaoh. Yeah, the person who he helped get his job back and then forgot David for a long period of time and then remembered him when there was a chaos. You see, these things that we've been through, they hurt. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you. I know the pains that I've been through in my own life, so I want you to understand that I do see that you've been through some things too. And I know they hurt. I'm not diminishing them at all, nor do I in any way think, or would I begin to assert to you that they were all right to have happened. That wasn't the perfect plan. I loved it when my dad said to me, we were talking about that same Joseph thing, and I was like, there's got to be a way that God could have just moved Joseph right straight from his father's house to being, second in command over all of Egypt. And Dad said, what if that wasn't God's plan at all? What if actually God's real perfect plan, without all of us screwing up, we use our free will and we mess things up, was for the nation of Israel to be the center of the world right then, to be the place that got the message that there was going to be a massive worldwide famine, and be the place that had all the food stored up that all the nations of the world would have come to. You see, I use the word Zeraz, and some of you know it and some of you don't. Zeraz is taken from Isaiah 60 verse 3, where it says, all the kings of the earth will be drawn to your light. That's your Zeraz. You are the living Zeraz. You are the light that compels people to come to find that transformational victory in their life. And you need that clarity. You've got the connection. You've got the heart. You wouldn't be attached to me. You wouldn't hang on to my lives for more than 3 seconds if you didn't already have the heart. You want to connect. You may need some principles, some philosophies on how to better connect, but you want to. You absolutely want to. And here's the thing. You may not have the skill, and you may need me to help encourage you to use the skill of connecting consistently. But you wake up every morning and you're you. Consistency is the thing you are an absolute expert at. If you were to take however old you are and break that down into however many days old you are, and no, I'm not going to do the math on that for myself. That would be a calculation I don't even want to deal with right now, okay? But if you were to take that and say I'm X number of days old, that's how many days of experience you have at being consistent. It's not a habit you have to build, it's a habit you already have. You may need to add some skills into how you use that consistency, but you've consistently shown up as you every single day with all of your advantages and all of your flaws, every single one of them. Not to perform, not to put on some kind of polished and perfect, oh, let me speak to you now and help you change your life. Back in the day, I worked at a radio station, and originally, and I'll even just tell you flat out. Okay, so WFLT radio was originally called WAMM radio. WAMM radio, before I got there, he's older than me, okay, is the radio station that Casey Kasem got his start at. You know, so if you've ever heard, and some of you are like, who's Casey Kasem? Casey Kasem is the guy who started the American Top 40, you know, the weekly show that, what is it? I think Ryan Seacrest is doing it now. I don't even know anymore. You know, but the guy had transitioned it to a Christian radio station so he could hire at minimum wage people to be DJs, basically. And I was working there, and they sold to a bunch of churches as much airtime as they could, because then you know, they didn't have to worry about whether or not the DJ could spin albums or talk articulately on the air. All they had to do was push a go button, you know, and let the person, you know, their cassette or whatever play. And I heard a lot of sermons, and some of them were really good. And there was a couple of the guys that polished, perfect performance was just so off-putting that you couldn't even listen to it. And because the guy that owned the company, you know, owned the radio station, was not a Christian at all, he would put one of the most amazingly incredible ministers of one of the inner city churches in Flint, Michigan, on just before, or just, I guess actually he was just after, Louis Farrakhan. Okay, for those of you who don't know who Louis Farrakhan, he's not a Christian. We'll just leave it at that, okay? You know what I mean? He basically called for the enslavement of all white people for 400 years in order for it to be, that would be the only form of quote unquote fairness that would be acceptable. And I would spend the entire hour that he was talking, not listening to it, fielding phone calls from people asking why the heck would I play that? Like I had chosen it. Like, you know, I woke up in the morning and I'm like, you know what I'm going to do today? Some people, you know, and the thing about it is that was, and the reason why I brought that up, it was kind of a segue that really didn't need to be there, but that was really a performative. And there's a lot of those kind of things that are really performative. They're a really well branded, and this is where I want you to stay away from, and that's because it's not about this really well branded, pitch perfect. You know, if you get all the colors and the shapes and the brand and the logo and the background and the everything just right. This is our Saturday fuzzy slippers day. You know, I haven't shaved yet today, and I probably won't until tomorrow. I'm wearing a t-shirt as opposed to a collared shirt. And I'm just here just talking to you because you're my community. You're my peeps. And I'm here for you. And the people that are listening to this live and on the replay, the people that will watch the shorts that come from this, they're your peeps. They're your community. Your community doesn't need you to come out and do your impression of Oprah. They don't need you to come out and duplicate me. They need you to just simply show up in the community as you. Yes, if you went to visibilityamplifier.com, our visibility amplifier community, and came and joined us, we need you in there because we need your voice. We've even built some programs that we've got that are going to allow you to develop your message, your mission, your talk, your clarity, and use that free group as a safe space for you to be able to practice it so that you can then, if you were ready, if you were already plugged into what I'm doing, what Willie J, my partner, is doing, what Patricia, who you see on here most days, is doing, what Judy is doing, what several of us have all come together. We're more like a coalition. A team is a good word for it too, but we're more than a company. We're a mission together to bring you out into the world. And if you were at that place, we've got, podcasts and stages. I can think of 2 or 3 right now. I've got 2 more on my desk right now that are talking about opportunities for people to speak. And if you were at that place, and if you would acknowledge the job that you already have, drop the word clarity, join the Visibility Amplifier community, and come on in. The water's already nice and warm and cozy, and we're here and all ready to help you. Not because I need to pitch you, but because I see you, and I know who you are, and I know what you're going to do. And I know if you will just embrace you and say it again, and say it and say it and say it. Even if you go live to absolutely nobody, and even if you did that for an entire year and nobody watched, you got 0 likes, 0 follows, nobody ever listened to it live or on the replay, you don't know how to repurpose it into shorts, you just went out, and the only ears that ever heard it was your own. You say it and say it and say it and say it and say it until you get to the place that you realize you knew it all along. Because when you embrace that realization of who you really are, then, regardless of how many people you've got listening to you right now, the people will start coming. They absolutely will. There have been people flashing in and out this whole time while I'm talking. There have been times when there's nobody here and times when there's 2 or 3 people here. And this will be broken down into a bunch of shorts, both 2 to 5 minute videos, as well as, some 30 to 40 second videos, or maybe even 5 or 10 seconds. Maybe I said something really hilarious that just needs to be its own video. Like I did this week telling you to run naked in the streets. That should probably just be its whole own meme. Probably should create that. Just a run naked in the streets meme. I wonder how I can do that and not get banned. I'll have to think that one through. That's a good idea. You see live and in person what the going live and just talking to the person, just being real and raw and visible and valuable does for you. As I said before, you've already been showing up every day. You wake up every morning, you're still you. And that's the best thing ever, because the world needs you. Stop auditioning for the job that you already have. Stop trying to worry whether or not you're good enough or can ever be you. You are good enough, and you absolutely are you. And the world needs you right now. Drop the word clarity. Let's get together. Let's get you clear. Let's put together a plan for you to clearly know who you are, consistently connect with the people that you're meant to connect with. We've got all that in place already for you. No need to worry not one more second. Let's do it. And then do come and join us in the Visibility Amplifier community. We want you. We need your voice in there with us. I appreciate you. I'm grateful for you. I celebrate that you're going to stop auditioning and you're going to step out and do it. You're going to do it right here, right now. Let's do it clearly, consistently. Let's connect with the people we're meant to connect with. And until we're together again next time, which will be tomorrow, I hope you have a great week.